Hello and welcome to the channel, or welcome back to the channel as the case may be. This video series is basically my journey as I'm preparing to slow travel through Southeast Asia, basically for retirement and beyond. This is the third in my series prior to leaving, and today we're going to talk about girls. Of course, my priority is to live a decent life outside the United States, but not just simply to find a woman. But I'm definitely not opposed. It's been many years since I've dated, but I've got tons of experience both in person and online. And in fact, back when I first became single, I was one of the first online daters back when Yahoo dating was a thing in 1999. I'm very familiar with the scams and devices of evil that are involved with all kinds of online dating. So I really don't do it much anymore. But I'm also familiar with the many opportunities for disappointment. That being said, you could say this is a video about something I know nothing about, because although I have dated a few Asian women, I've never been to Asia. And so please, if I'm dead wrong about any of this, and be kind when you set me straight. So before we start, please like and subscribe so you can see how my adventure pans out, whether it's good or bad. About me, well, I'm old. I know I'm old. I went to an antique store not long ago and they wouldn't let me leave. I don't have much money, not in a Western sense, but in Southeast Asia, marrying a foreigner is marrying up. Not that I'm necessarily looking for marriage, again, not opposed. And that's even though I might not be a catch in the West. Also, I have no desire to make any more babies. I've got 2 grown children and I'm in my early 60s. And no desire to have babies. Fourth, I'm a bit of a rebel. Always have been. It's a very American thing. I didn't grow out of it, I guess you could say. And I know that's not necessarily popular in Southeast Asia or any part of Asia for that matter. And for me, well, conservative isn't really an attractive adjective for me, at least not in the West American sense of the word. So my type, well, pretty. Younger is nice. Prefer no young kids. Somebody that wants to travel, is intelligent, likes my humor, my weird sense of humor, and is open-minded, especially about religion. There's a lot of assumptions that are pretty popular. Some of them, one in particular that's popular, especially among conservative-leaning people, is that American feminism means that women want to be men. I've actually heard somebody say that. Well, Asian women kind of compete with that idea. But the fact is, feminism is the belief that women and men should have equal rights, opportunities, and status. Anything beyond that is kind of sneaking into extreme viewpoints, and it's not really a common thing. Most feminists are not lesbian and want simply to have respect and a say in how their partnership is run if they're in any kind of relationship. For me and my marriage, I'm divorced, but things always went smoothly when we agreed on an action rather than me making the decision and expecting her to accept it, even if she disagreed. As far as duties go, well, one thing, I like to cook. I cook well. And, I wouldn't want somebody to always cook my meals for me. And I feel like a heel if somebody's having to pick up after me. And maybe that's partly because I've lived alone for a long time. For me to force a woman to accept that I might be right, just because my chromosomes say so, well, that's kind of treating her like a child. Another assumption is Asian relationships are transactional. And well, again, in fact, I think so are Western ones for the most part. The difference is Western transactions also require more emotional investments, I think, or at least it seems that way. To me, this is an assumption, but it's my assumption, I guess. It's not the popular assumption, is that people are similar. All women want the same things, including honesty, trustworthiness, attraction, security, and respect. In the East, I think, you have to add that they also want a strong family connection, an understanding and respecting of their culture, and they want to move up in status. You can't really fault anybody for that. In the West, you'd add they want equality, emotional maturity, communication, and shared burden. Overall, though, I think all men, or at least all Western men, want to be admired. And I think all Western women want to be heard. So what about money and gold digging? Well, that's not just a Thai or Philippines thing. East and West have their own ways of doing it. You know, there's sugar daddies, there's trad wives, refusal to marry down, and the traditional gold diggers. Is that shallow and manipulative? With men, it's looks instead of money. After all, you wouldn't date somebody because she's not up to your beauty standards. Why wouldn't she be in the right if she didn't want to date you because you don't have enough money? On to the women. First, a couple of things. I'm relying on some personal interactions with people that I've known in the past or know now who've dated Asian women, and but the advice that I've seen from expat videos, YouTube sites, is a little suspect, because I have a feeling that a lot of them are venting from bad experiences, and it's often more about their shortcomings than mistakes they've made than the women. And the second thing is age gap, which is going to come up, let's face it. Rather than explaining how an older man just might be attracted to a younger woman or a young woman, let me ask the haters and the, oh, you're a creepy old perv people out there, why is it so much worse for a younger woman to be with an older man? For a man my age in a Western country, you know, we can't use online dating. We have to use carbon dating. After all, cougar relationships aren't looked down on at least not in the U.S. In fact, they're quite popular. And in my viewpoint, is the thing that differentiates a creepy old man from a hot commodity, even in the West, is whether a woman's attracted to him or not. There's plenty of people that would really give an older man a lot of crap for dating somebody 20, 30 years they're younger than them, unless it was somebody like George Clooney, or, you know, somebody famous or attractive or rich. Then it's okay. So, you know, double standards, let's keep that in mind. So of course I'd appreciate a woman who was going to outlive me and won't compete with me for medical needs. And yes, who has a young, attractive body and appearance. Duh. All right, let's talk about Thai women first. Partly because I just have a sense that this is the type of woman that I'm most likely to have things in common with. Sources for this, well, Palm at Thai Thoughts, who I really like her site and really like her insights. Earn Lucky Girl, her YouTube channel as well, and various expat sites. So Thai women, almost all Buddhist. The country's almost all Buddhist. That's a very big plus for me. They're traditional, at least with general roles mostly. Also culture and religion, and as far as being marriage bound, very traditional. They're strong but easy to know, jealous but proud, unfaithful, and they assume men are. That's a common thing that I've heard. More attracted to Thai men. I mean, as an American or any kind of foreigner, you're the second choice. I'm the second choice. That's okay though. I'm 63. Education is high, especially in cities. They're shy, at least that's what I've heard. Non-confrontational, that goes in with the saving face thing. Lies a lot, that's what I've heard. Have a live and let live attitude, from everything from LGBTQ issues to just an attitude of, you know, just leave other people, let people alone. It's their business, stay out of it. I like that. Also, gambling is a big issue with a lot of women, especially bar girls and that kind of thing. I've heard that they like to eat often, at least snack often. So it's, if you're on a date or if you're going out with a Thai woman for the day, you're going to spend maybe not a lot of money on Thai food, but you'll spend it often. That's what I've heard. And of course, family is more important than men. That's going to be a common thread with all these. The language barrier is smaller than some of the other Southeast Asian countries, but once you get out of the tourist areas, it goes down quite a bit. So Filipino women, second choice because, well, okay, we'll talk about it. You'll see. The sources are Filipina P. Again, by far my favorite Filipina YouTuber. Just gorgeous. She's my type, believe me. Smart Girl Filipina. This one I'm taking a lot of information from because I watched a lot of their early videos. Didn't like them though. I know that sounds weird. There was a big turnoff. The girl that was presenting acted and looked like a child, like a teenager. And a lot of her advice seemed like advice from a teenager, but I'm weighing that, I'm taking that with a grain of salt, but still weighing it in. Her videos must not have been popular, not even on her channel anymore, but it's still enlightening. And of course, various expat sites. Catholic, very Catholic. It's not exactly a turn on for me. And from what I've heard or seen from Filipina P in particular, very anti-feminist and very anti-woke. Philippines in general is pretty accepting of ladyboys. So it's kind of a contradiction, at least from where I'm from. They're very submissive, as well as being conservative, or in a conservative sort of way, kind of in American terms, a trad wife kind of way, but very loyal. And by the way, I do have a little bit of experience with Filipino women as I dated a couple. They're far more westernized than any of the other countries we're going to talk about, but shy. And here's some of the more negatives: desperate. Desperate because every one of these Philippine websites are pushing their women on Western men. In my experience, very clingy as well. Insecurity is a very big turnoff, but it seems to be a running thing with all the Philippines sites that I've looked at. Insecurities like jealousy and suspicion and wanting to check your phone and things like that. That's not attractive to me either. Superstitious, that runs through a lot of the Asian countries, but from what I've been told or what I've heard, it's pretty high and pretty kind of silly in the Philippines. They're picky about food, at least according to Smart Girl Philippines. Picky about food. They have to have, according to her, have to have jojobe pretty much every day and rice with every meal. This is where you can correct me if I've heard wrong. They're unequal about this saving face idea. Saving face I have no problem with. I think it helps people be far more nice to each other, and which is a good thing. But at least, again, what I've heard, they may shout at you and they may run you down, especially if you're a Western boyfriend, in front of everybody, but don't you ever do it to them. It's a very unequal attitude about that. Again, not really attractive to me. And according to several sites, they are compulsive liars. So also, there's no divorce in the Philippines. So once you're in it for good. Vietnamese women. This is number 3 because I find these extraordinarily attractive, very high on the list. Buddhist, I like that. They're very formal. I'm not sure if that goes in with my rebel side, or at least from their point of view. They seem less passionate and emotional. That kind of, I won't say cold, but it just seems that way. And this is where I need a lot of information. I hope some of you guys that are watching have dated Vietnamese women or are in Vietnam. The other thing, which is a big drawback, is huge language barrier. And let's see, next, Cambodian Laotian women. I combine that because I find, at least it seems like there's enough similarities into that we can combine it. Another Buddhist country, again, good thing. They seem like it's probably more, in general, less educated population and less likely to enjoy extensive travel, which is something I want to do. Language barrier, very high again. So I'm not sure about the attraction there. As far as physical beauty, I do have an attraction for Asian women. They are very attractive people. And whether I'm attracted to them or not, I'm really not sure. I don't think that they are as fond of foreign men as some of the other countries. Okay, Indonesian women. Now we get into the Muslim countries. I think there's more variety there. I mean, Indonesia is a huge country, but predominantly Muslim, very spiritual, especially if they're Muslim. I've been told and I've heard that they're very compassionate, but there's very low English spoken, except in touristy areas, a little more there. But they're more open to foreigners, as long as you don't meet them where their family is or friends are. You know, once you've established and are dating seriously, at least what I've heard, they will accept you more, and they're attracted to foreigners, but it seems like they're afraid of foreigners, are trying to explain away a foreigner just dating them. So, you know, we'll see how that is. So Malaysian women, a lot of similarities to the Indonesian culture, I think. Muslim again, there's more of an English-speaking population. There's more tourist areas that there's high English spoken. But again, with the cultural, that Indonesian Muslim culture, far more difficult to date. Muslim religion, I could see where I'd have a lot of trouble living with a Muslim woman. First of all, I eat pork. I don't click with any of the religious characteristics that they hold. So those two are the lowest possibility of me getting involved with. So there are other considerations. My family is concerned about me getting taken advantage of or having a health issue with no one to help me. What is it, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 miles away? Okay, for one thing, I've tried to educate myself. I've watched hundreds of hours of videos from Asian expats. Like I said at the beginning, some of them venting because of their failures, but you hear a lot of stories, and I'm pretty careful about how I date. I'm not desperate. I've been alone for 15 years without a woman in my life. And there's plenty of ways Western women also take advantage, and I've either learned to deal with most of it or how to avoid those type of women. I want to address values issue because there's a lot of bad press or hurt feelings from Western women because of all the men going to Asia to find girlfriends or wives and that kind of thing. And a lot of misinformation go around. There's a lot of ideas that Western men have about Western women that I think are just wrong. So, you know, these are my values, and this is what I think. So hopefully I won't run everybody off with this. Western women are independent. They've traditionally had rights, that at least in the last 120 years or so. That translates into their being more demanding of a mate, because we used to aspire to allow everyone to be treated equally. Women can make as much as men and can pursue whatever they choose in life. They're smart and protective of her rights and wants a relationship where each has strengths and respect for each other's growth and happiness. Western women are in an existential fight for their freedoms concerning autonomy over their own bodies, and most of the gains they've made during my lifetime are in danger of being lost. Losing abortion rights has had far more of a psychological impact than many men realize. The political party that took that right is now actually discussing publicly about encouraging women to have more kids. A couple of the politicians have even suggested that women shouldn't be able to vote. Even a woman did. Yet they're demolishing the programs that help new mothers and babies. The political vision is strong between men and women. And women sometimes decide they won't follow a man towards an ideology that will marginalize them again. So naturally they're defensive. Losing rights flies against an American's most basic values. So is it not hard to understand why American women might be apprehensive or put off by the idea of going back to a time of submission and deferring to a male. Also, Western women have the advantage in terms of being chased rather than being the chaser. So men pursue them more, whereas we Eastern women compete for good men. I know that's a generalization. Western men are more prone to hypermasculinity, and that's more attractive to cultures that really haven't experienced it that much. The idea that a man is aggressive, protective, etc. seems like a great thing, as long as the aggression isn't targeting you. One aspect of a Western woman's near acceptance as an equal has had the effect of lowering spousal abuse and violence. Remember Me Too? Did you hate it? Why? The movement shined a light on sexual harassment, abuse, and rape. Is that something you support? Okay, I doubt that, but the reaction here was vitriolic towards women, as if they should just take it and shut their mouth. In fact, there are Christian politicians that suggest a rape is a gift from God. Sure, it sometimes went too far, seems like everything does. The extremists did cause no favors with a few frivolous accusations or even making up things to hurt someone. So obviously men aren't finding enough women here as easily as say 1950s or 40s, or sex as easily as in the 70s. But in the end, it's more often that men aren't willing to respect women for who they are rather than what they can do for them. And frankly, men who are raised with outdated values and expectations are in uncomfortable territory. Women want to date up. That's not an East-West thing, that's universal. I'll admit that it's one reason I've had trouble finding a companion here in the United States. Like I said, men want to be admired, and for some, the bar is too high with Western women who require more than simply having a job and a baby-making device. Eastern women are taught submission, and their parents and family are more important than her husband. Very little self-determination because they anticipate a husband in their life. They anticipate it. That's very different than Western women who it's kind of optional now, and there's a big difference there. But Eastern women are going to expect a lot from a husband as a provider, and they're more willing to and often expect to stop working. Traditional values typically means a woman must have kids as soon as possible. In the Philippines in particular, in my opinion, it seems unfortunate that a woman wants kids so badly that they end up having their aunts raise them or their mothers raise them instead of being home to raise them themselves and to be with that child as it grows up. And that's because of poverty. They either end up traveling a long way for low-wage work or they end up in clubs or something like that. It doesn't seem like good family values. In results, that's overpopulation, huge overpopulation in the Philippines, more poverty, it keeps the economy poor. Frankly, those are flawed traditional values. So my goal is to find a woman who respects and loves me for who I am. Wow, that's an overused thing now, but you know, it's rather than what I can provide. I'm going to be on Social Security. What I can provide is limited. I don't have unlimited opportunities the way I used to. Somebody who's free to travel with me and has goals that I can help her with. I'm uncomfortable in an unbalanced relationship. I'm truly happier knowing that what I do for my partner is just as important as what she can do for me. That's not limited to, but it especially includes intimacy. And since it's not my priority, I can wait till I find somebody who fits the bill. So that's it for this time, finally. Remember, I welcome your comments and criticism most of the time, but I'll respect your point of view far more if you are a subscriber. I'm working on the update for my move for the next video in a couple of weeks, but if you have something to suggest, I'm all ears. So until next time, make a great day.